Folks, we're going to take a journey today into the wide-eyed, sprawling fantasies of a madman. Bloodsport.
Bloodsport, kid.
Hey, wait, you thought I was gonna do a Breath of Fire 4 video, right? Never you worry, I'm following the same thing I did with Breath of Fire 3. Complete the series playthrough first and release the video at the end. In the meantime, though, I want to tell you about another awesome movie, motherfucking Bloodsport. I may be wrong here, but I believe this was Jean-Claude Van Damme's first starring role. If it wasn't, it was certainly the one that put him on the map, though. And just like in my Rumble in the Bronx video, we aren't here for the plot. In fact, let's get that over with. It's just Mortal Kombat. No, seriously, it is. Just without the whole end-of-the-world shtick. There's a tournament in some part of the world where people can fight to the death. Though I guess actually fighting to the death is frowned upon. Anyway, I want to throw this out here. This movie is supposed to be based on true events. Keep that in mind. Because the very first thing we see our main character Frank Dukes, a U.S. Air Force officer, do is go AWOL.
That's a very good question.
Alright, so on his way to Bloodsport, we get the history of Frank Dukes' training. You see, he tried to steal a sword from a guy and got his ass beat by a 12-year-old for it. Well, Japanese Dado Senzo Tanaka is showing why he's Father of the Year and agrees not to press charges on our helpless Belgian if he agrees to be a punching bag for his son. So young Frank spends an unspecified amount of time in this position and apparently develops a brotherly bond with his ass-kicker brother until said young Goku in training dies. This prompts Jean-Claude Van Damme to take his place as successor to the Kaioken style. Cue montage.
We have to make you a complete soldier in very little time.
How are we gonna do that?
I think I know just what we need.
The hour's approaching to give it your best, and you've got to reach your prime. That's when you need to put yourself to the test and show us a passage of time. We're gonna need a montage. Ooh, it takes a montage. Show a lot of things happening at once. Remind everyone of what's going on. And with every shot, show a little improvement. To show it raw would take too long. That's called a montage. Girl, we want a montage. And anything if you want to go from just a beginner to a pro, you need a montage. Even Rocky had a montage. Always fade out in a montage. If you fade out, it seems like more time has passed in a montage.
Now, we've finally come to Hong Kong, but we're not at the tournament just yet. Every 80s action movie has to have a sexy dame, and we literally get to see Frank Dukes win his. Okay, so Saddam Hussein here is trying to score with Blondie. Well, Jean-Claude can't stand seeing another man horn in on his prey and has to do something about it. What we get is another scene showcasing Frank Dukes' skill as he moves so quickly he's not only able to swap coins with Saddam, but he also moistens the loins of his now smitten paparazzi.
Balls. Damn it.
Alright, so 30 minutes into the movie, we're finally at the damn tournament, and this might as well be where the movie starts. In fact, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Start the movie right here. Put your DVD into your computer, wait for VLC to keep screwing up, go on YouTube and find the free upload, skip to the tournament, and watch it from there. Do you really need to know about Jean-Claude Van Damme's master who doesn't age? No, you don't. You get all your information from the start of the tournament. Frank does a death touch BS super move so you know he's good. Later on, he stresses why he and the other fighters are willing to risk it all in Mortal Kombat to Blondie. The government agents chasing Frank make no sense and don't matter at all, and the main bad guy is introduced during the tournament. But then the movie would only be about an hour, so they had to pad it with an elongated flashback.
Shit.
Getting into the first round, we see a large cast of characters, many of the prominent ones being introduced in the opening scene of the movie. You won't remember their names, they don't matter, they're just there. See, Bloodsport is basically one giant anime tournament arc. Actually, the way the characters are handled is probably closer to Bleach if we really get into it. I think something like Yu Yu Hakusho when I say tournament arc. Like, you get this big, colorful cast of characters all entering for their own reasons. Like, the ninjas wanted to escape living in the shadows, and Shishi Wakamaru wanted fame and pussy. Bloodsport, like Bleach, though, is a bunch of gimmicks, and the characters, aside from about one or two of them, are entirely their gimmicks. It works fine for an hour-and-a-half movie, but not for a multi-season serial with shitty writing. Alrighty then, so after round 1, which obviously Frank, his buddy, and Bolo Young win, we get a brief intermission to slow down the pace to not overload the audience and desensitize them to the action. So allow me to do the same. This whole story was supposed to be inspired by true events. There is actually a guy named Frank Dukes, and he claims to have gone to, I think it was Jamaica, to participate in the Kumite this movie is based on. First problem, Kumite pretty much just means spar. That'd be like naming your big martial arts tournament fight. According to Dukes, he fought through 56 people in a single elimination tournament to be the champion. Okay, so that means the number of tournament entrants was 2 to the 56th power. Do the math and tell me that was possible.
That's a very good question.
Back to business. Second round kicks off and we get more over-the-top martial arts BS fight scenes. These fight scenes are cool, but there's certainly a difference between the deliberately gratuitous and fake-looking martial arts here and the clever shenanigans Jackie Chan can put into a scene. These fights in Bloodsport are like a live-action anime or something like that. The actors in question are using the most flamboyant aspects of their styles so that any viewer can get the basic idea of what they're supposed to be. It goes back to the gimmicks I was talking about, and make no mistake, many of the actors in question do have martial arts experience, with some even being competitive prize fighters in real life. But they're exaggerating everything, and it's got this bombastic feel to it that's a joy to watch in tandem with the 80s upbeat soundtrack. But we can't have nice things forever now, can we? And Frank's buddy gets hospitalized by Bolo Young. Because we gotta dislike this guy, and prior to now, he's pretty much just been a jerk. We get another little intermission, so let's talk some more behind the scenes. When the real Frank Dukes fought in this mythical Kumite, he was only supposed to be 19 years old. Also, he'd have you believe that he's basically invented MMA as it is today, as apparently he was the first person ever to mix martial arts together in Kumite, which spread to the rest of the world. Oh, and he's faster than Bruce Lee. Now, I'm not saying it's not possible for someone to be faster than Bruce Lee, but I am saying it's probably not this guy. Anywho, let's get back to the movie because now everyone is cool with Jean-Claude finishing the Kumite and we gotta see this through. There's 2 fights left and Jean-Claude gets an awesome battle against the token Muay Thai fighter in the group. It looks cool, it ends well, not much else to say. Bolo Young, on the other hand, straight murders his opponent. Like, there's no other way to put it. I mean, the guy was already down and out and Bolo snaps his neck. It was completely unnecessary, but the bad guy wouldn't be hardcore enough otherwise.
True.
So we get to the final fight, and it really is as awesome as you'd expect. It's cartoony martial arts choreography coupled with Chong Li's Dragon Ball Z levels of damage tanking until he for some reason decides he can't win without cheating and throws some powder in Van Damme's eyes. And for such an honorable tournament about the purity of martial arts or whatever bullshit it was trying to sell, the judges don't seem to care one bit about overt cheating. Frank Dukes channels his inner anime and snatches victory from the wide, gaping, dislocated jaws of defeat, and thus ends our mystical journey into the mind of a crazy person.
True.
Movie's over, so let's take one more look at the real Frank Dukes. According to him, he was not only the winner of the most high-end illegal underground martial arts tournament the world has ever known, he also claims to be an international man of mystery and has pretty much done every James Bond film in real life. At the tender age of 19, he was apparently able to go undertake covert ops in Vietnam, after Vietnam War ended, mind you. This was all during his time going to Kumite. And if you can poke holes in his story or argue it in any coherent fashion, he doubles down that it's a conspiracy against him. I'm going to direct you to another video by a channel called The Pink Man, who has a very well-researched video, should you care to learn more on the matter. Bloodsport. Absolutely full of shit. Frank Dukes was, anyway. But that's the thing. It's such a cool concept. I mean, the underground martial arts tournament to figure out who's the best in the world, where you can use all the skills at your disposal and there's no rules and hardcore and all that good shit. That's like every Taekwondo white belt's wet dream, alright? So you can kind of see the appeal behind it and why it's lasted as long as it has. And for the normal audience who's really not into martial arts, doesn't care about that sort of thing, it's so bad that it's good comedy. Highly recommend this one. Go ahead and check it out. Y'all have a great day.